Welcome to the Nintendo Power Zone, a videocast / podcast dedicated to bringing you the best Nintendo-related topics. I'm your host, Nice One, and we are joined by the full staff of the Nintendo Power Zone. We have Blues and Jaden Winsong. How are you guys doing?
Excited! I'm doing all right though. They kind of surprised most of us with this stealth drop, so I am eager to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm excited. A bit skeptical, a bit cautious. I've been burned by things like this before, but the excitement is there.
Exactly, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I can't wait to get into this. But first, we got an intro. We got an intro that I spent some time on. I'm gonna read this damn thing. This Saturday marks the 25th anniversary of one of Nintendo's flagship series, Pokemon, a global phenomenon that has far outgrown the medium in which it has begun. The series' mascot Pikachu is one of the most recognizable icons in history, and despite the success of the franchise, there is no intention of it slowing down. We are at the 2.5-decade mark, and with today's announcements during the Pokemon presentation, we saw what's coming down the pipeline this year, and a little bit of what's happening next year. So why don't we just go ahead, dive right in, and discuss the presentation and some of our long-cherished Pokemon memories to celebrate the 25th anniversary. Starting with the presentation, really only 3 big reveals. The first one being Pokemon Snap, which we knew about already. However, this was our best look at the game. We finally see that we got a name for the vehicle. It's called the Neo 1, which is a little, 2000-y. Okay, I get it. Maybe you're trying to go for something a little nostalgic here. Love it, but everything we saw in this trailer made me so happy because the game it looks better than Sword and Shield. Okay, the last trailer had me thinking that maybe it wasn't going to be quite as good. This one was like, okay, we had a couple more weeks to polish some shit. This shit looks good. The water effects look great.
Oh, you're talking visually specifically.
Visually, yes.
Okay.
I mean, gameplay-wise, it looks pretty good too. I mean,
it does. I just wasn't sure what you meant by like looks good. So thank you.
Okay, yes, from a visual aspect, I think it looks much better than Sword and Shield at this point. That isn't to say that I don't think Game Freak is capable of it. Obviously, parts of the new Wild Area expansions both really they did a lot to make those look really good. But what we're seeing here is glorious. And granted, we all know Game Freak and their issues with coding and compression. However, it looks like this game is nowhere near as big as Sword and Shield. So I will cut Game Freak some slack in the the visual departments on the analysis that Pokemon Snap is definitely like a 15-hour game max, right?
Well,
that seems ambitious for what I was expecting. I was thinking maybe 10. But that's like just to complete. You probably want to go back and find all the photos.
That's not like 100% in the game with like max photos, 100% pictures, scored pictures. That's like 15 hours.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about that. I think it could be more depending on how much they want to reinvent the wheel or revolutionize. That's a better word. Revolutionize the entire like on rails genre. I mean, we haven't really had on rails games as a big thing since like early 2000s. It kind of faded away from existence, and I think if they play
VR,
right,
so often,
right, and so I think it could go. I think it could go either way. I think to be on the safe bet would be like 15 and 20 hours, but then there's the kind of risky guess of, well, this is Game Freak, this is the Pokemon company, maybe they'll do something wild and out there and surprise us with like 30 plus hours of content. It's hard to say, really.
I think this one's being developed by Bandai this time out.
Yeah, Bandai Namco. Which made Pokken, which is why it looks so good, right?
Yeah, they did make Pokken, and I don't care what anybody says, Pokken's fucking underrated.
It's totally underrated. It's probably one of the best fighting games out there, easily.
But yeah, I love everything we saw. We get to go underwater this time. Something that I always wanted to do in the original Pokemon Snap. We're getting to do. We've got new pester balls, like the Illumina ball, whatever it's called, that lights up the Pokemon, makes them
radioactive.
Yeah, apparently because he threw it at Score Bunny. Yeah, they threw the ball at Score Bunny, and then the flame turned blue. obviously we have some secret actions that we can participate in, kind of like how you would piss off the Mankey to kick the Magikarp into the ocean or into the waterfall, and then it would come out as a Gyarados by the end of the stage, like stuff like that.
That's what makes it so good.
Exactly, but this time around,
it wouldn't be good.
It looks like this time you can interact. You force those interactions a little bit more. They're not quite as big as that, like with the Gyarados, but you get Venusaur to jump off the rock and dive into the water. That stuff looks great.
Yeah,
love the way this game looks. The music in the game, if that's what we're hearing, that's great. I'm not sure I like the name of the region, Lentil. All I can think
lentils, lentil soup.
I get it. Yeah, it's just no.
I mean, yeah, but I think there's something that's interesting there is that they gave us a new region, right? Like that's weird. You know, usually they save new regions for like their own games, right?
Well, I feel like every spinoff has had a separate region, right? Conquest had a new region. All of the Ranger games had a new region.
Detective Pikachu has its own region as well, which got placed in the movies. But yeah, I mean,
I think the only spinoffs without their own region, I want to say, is the Dungeon games, the Mystery Dungeon games. And maybe the OG Pokemon Snap didn't have its own region, but it had its own sort of archipelago of islands, right?
You know what? But the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games kind of imply that they're in alternate universes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But that's the only one I can think of that doesn't have its own different region. I think all the other spinoffs have their own region title.
Shows you how often I've played the spin-offs multiple times. I thought Detective Pikachu was in like one of the main regions, but in its own city. So,
Ash's Pikachu technically shows up within it, but you know, Ash is constantly traveling. You never know what region he's in.
That's true.
Ever.
Yeah. So it just shows how well I pay attention to those slight details. In any case.
A little bummed out that Professor Oak isn't coming back for this. We do have a new professor, Professor Mirror, which is this the first time we have a professor not named specifically after a plant?
Sonia, is her last name Magnolia as well, or is it just Sonia? Because Sonia's not a plant, is it?
No, but she is related to Professor Magnolia, so in that sense, I would assume they carry the same last name.
Okay,
right.
So yeah, just Professor Mirror, like staring at yourself in front of me. I'm like,
I thought like mirrorless camera or something.
Again, it's
camera puns. There's camera puns all over here.
Yeah,
I get it.
Huh, interesting.
Aside from the screenshot, I'm looking at screenshots. I'm on the official website now. Not a whole lot of stuff here yet, but I did like to see Raichu actually surfing. Yeah, that was kind of dope.
Cool. Yeah,
it was very cool.
Like, okay, you know, there's a reference to the surfing Pikachu again,
right.
Which is the Alolan Raichu's whole design.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But Alolan Raichu was, you know,
telekinetically surfing.
Yeah, based off of that original surfing Pikachu that we got back in Pokemon Yellow. Can we get that back? Can we please get that back, like in a core game?
Yeah, it would be nice.
Pikachu learns fly and surf through TR and Sword and Shield.
Those don't count.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit different.
They break.
Have that surfboard.
You can't teach all your Pikachus. And then you get one. I was like, no. Learn, like every Pikachu that I have, all 2,000 of them need to learn surf.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I think I'm more excited about this game than I was upon the initial reveal trailer.
For sure.
Because the initial reveal trailer looked good. Then the second trailer gave me some cause for worry because I was like, oh, this doesn't look that good. This trailer, now that we see more gameplay, actual gameplay, so we know what it looks like in gameplay, looks great. I am excited. And I love the fact that we're going to be able to edit our photos, post them online, and have them voted on by real human beings. One thing I wish they could do that they just can't do, I want to be able to print these as stickers.
At Blockbuster.
Yeah, which I think is a dying thing, which is unfortunate, but that's just kind of where we are in.
Like, Family Video closed down completely, last month, and that's fucking tragic. That was the last of its kind.
We haven't had video rental places here since 2008.
Yeah,
it's been a hot minute.
It's specifically a Midwest thing.
Probably.
Still. They're only still around in Midwest, I want to say.
Yeah, Redbox legitimately murdered Blockbuster and Hollywood Video out here.
Yeah, yeah. But, on the topic of being able to edit your photos, that's one of the things that I'm pretty stoked with. It looked as if the editor itself had a lot of depth in terms of functionality and just options out there. And so what I'm hoping we'll see is a whole bunch of meme machine churnouts. I think there's so much potential for our good friends at 4chan to just get all of that crap and ruin it. I mean, great.
I saw googly eyes on there. I'm like, I'm gonna have so much fun with those googly eyes. Yeah, I'm gonna have so much fun abusing that.
Oh my god, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope it's as extensive as the one that was in Mario Odyssey. That's really kind of like the gold standard for Nintendo and their photo editing. This game is kind of prime specifically for you to just do whatever, right? With the editing. This is what we want. I'm still upset that Snap is not in this game. I don't care what any of you guys say. I know, Brendan, you're a hater. I want Snap back, or Todd, whatever damn name you want to call the character.
Well, we have 2 research assistants that were announced as well for Pokemon Snap.
We did. Did we get names for those characters?
Yeah, I believe we got names. I'm blanking on them.
Yeah, I forgot who they are.
They seem kind of lame. Like they're just lame rival characters. Like they're gonna be nice to you and shit. Kind of gross.
Yeah, they're not actually on the website. They're not specifically stating what
that's
their
lame.
names are. Oh, wow! They put the file size of the game up on the official website, 6.8 gigabytes.
I mean, that's good for people looking to pre-order.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. I mean, Bandai Namco. They know.
Yeah.
What
they actually compress things.
Yeah.
Wow. Do that. It sounds like we're just hating on Game Freak, but it is a running joke that Game Freak doesn't understand.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have a good track record,
right?
Like,
you have to point out the fact. It's disappointing, and we have to talk about it.
Right. There's a Lily for every region she shows up in Sun and Moon. Did they correct that for Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon, or did that just get worse? I don't even know.
I don't care about Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It just wasn't worth it.
Yeah, I have to agree. I couldn't finish it.
All right. So with that said, I am excited about Pokemon Snap. I cannot wait. We did get a release date. It is coming out in April. Freaking April
30th, right?
Yeah, dude, that way sooner than I had anticipated, but I'm not complaining. I am not complaining. But with that said, I think we should move on to the next big reveal.
Real quick, though, I want to interject.
Go ahead,
because this is just kind of a bit of fun news. They did do a survey, a poll of the most popular Pokemon in from the Japan side. The results came out a few days ago. So, don't know if you guys heard of it. Who do you guys think was number 1?
Charizard.
I know Greninja won the poll a little while ago. And since then, I think Incineroar was top contender afterwards. But I'm going to say Cinderace is the current one.
So, actually, number 1 is Dedenne. Yeah!
Dedenne? Okay.
Dedenne in number 1 with 68,396 votes. Number 1.
What a fucking meme.
Is 2 at 54,444, and Sableye is 3.
Sableye?
Yeah, at 45,526.
I'm a big Sableye fan, but I didn't expect him to be loved so much. Damn.
Yeah, this is a weird poll. Pikachu's at 7. Gardevoir is in 30th, which is weird. Yeah, it's a weird poll, but that's... Charizard is at 18.
Okay, if that poll was done in the States, it's like a toss-up between Charizard and Greninja.
Yeah, Greninja is 16. So, it's a weird poll, but I thought I'd just throw it in there as a bit of fun since we were talking about mascots and 25th years and Pikachu. So, I thought it'd be amusing to throw it in there.
Yeah. So, I was surprised. Pokemon Company just kind of got right into the meat and potatoes this direct. Beat around the bush with a lot of stuff. Right from Pokemon Snap into Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Okay. 2 things I want to make note of. The internet called it. Good for you, internet.
They've been calling it for 4 years.
Yeah, you get your diamond and pearl. Let me be the first one to say I'm happy for you, and I'm happy for myself because I fucking love diamond and pearl. Second, yo, how much inspiration did they take from Link's Awakening for this port? This is like shot for shot looks like Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
Well, it works.
Steal Zelda's homework a lot. Just don't make it too obvious, you know?
Exactly. I mean, they said like we've been inspired by Zelda for the wild area. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're even gonna steal the damn name. It's the wild area. This time we're like, shit, look at how cute that is. We can do that shit.
Right.
I mean, the craziest thing to me about the art style is that it actually just looks like they translated the actual sprites into 3D. It doesn't look like it's just chibi models or Nendoroids. It's that they're the sprites, which is the trippiest part to me.
Oh, right. I think they did a good job of capturing that. And I mean, yeah, it is very much like a page out of the Link's Awakening, but Link's Awakening in many cases was the scout, the trailblazer for how do we take old school games with this old sprite, big-headed look and adapt it to a 3D environment.
Let's be very real. I absolutely adored the visuals of Link's Awakening. I had issues with the frame rate, which they did correct a lot through a patch. But once the day the game launched, it wasn't unplayable, but it was pretty bad that when you went from region to because the game is that game is grid based, right? So when you move from one square to the next, and then you get that like
screen pan,
that chugging, it was terrible. From what they showed in this trailer, we don't have that effect. And now Grezzo typically does a really good job of their ports, so this was a really weird instance for Link's Awakening. I think it was Grezzo who did Link's Awakening. I'm like 80% sure.
Grezzo does most of the, I guess, remakes and ports in general, but they've done, I think, all of the Zelda ones, right? And they're doing Skyward Sword, right? Aren't they the ones porting that?
Yeah, they are currently
I think so.
Yeah, they're currently working on Skyward Sword. I will say, like, this was like a weird like drop ball in Grezzo's corner. Like, I couldn't believe that was a thing that got put out. But I mean, they did correct it. It did make the game far better, but it never 100% went away. Especially the more enemies that populated the stage in a game that doesn't have a lot of enemies to begin with that populate in most areas. This didn't seem to suffer from that drawback, but there's not a whole lot of like enemies on the field at any given point in time in any kind of Pokemon game. But I will say this. They took that art style from Link's Awakening. They did the same thing. They somehow made it cuter. Right? I looked at it, I was like, those sprites are fucking adorable. I need those as amiibo.
It looks less toy-like and more figure-like, if that makes sense. So
that makes sense, and I think that in itself lends itself well to kind of like the cute aesthetic.
Well, the Nendoroid comparison that you made, they do give me those especially the Pokemon Nendoroids that they did a couple years ago.
Right.
I did get that aesthetic vibe from them. They need to. I know Pokemon doesn't like to mess with amiibo, but I really feel like these trainer characters need fucking amiibo, and I do like the fact that it's only the overworld has your character looking like that. When you enter battles,
that's classic Pokemon.
Yeah. Well, not even, because we've had 3D trainer models for a few generations now. In that, in battle phases, these
right.
don't quite look as polished as the ones that we got in
Let's Go
or Sword and Shield. They have a more animated quality to them. Like, they look more anime. Which I think is great for the aesthetics that they're going for with this game. We're going for a cuter art, a softer art style. It applies to the Pokemon models, and it definitely applies to the trainer models. It's much softer. The colors are a little bit more muted than I'd like. I feel like the colors should pop more if you're going for this art style. Maybe even cel-shaded. I know cel-shaded is a dirty word, but I think a cel-shaded art style might have been really just a little bit, not like full-on Travis Strikes Back cel-shaded. Or No More Heroes cell shaded, but a little bit more cell shading would have really helped that like anime style pop in this game. But aesthetically, I love it.
I think the biggest thing for me is that coming off the heels of Pokemon Snap has wonderful use of colors. They do colors really, really well with new Pokemon Snap. And both of the big games they announced afterwards just look so bad color-wise in comparison.
Well, I could say that.
Well,
I don't know.
I think with the third game, I get why it's more muted. They're going for we'll talk about it when we get there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But
yeah, so
the colors just look bad in both of these.
I don't know. Like, I kind of disagree because I think with the colors, if the goal is to capture as much of the DS experience in a remake as possible, because one of the words I think they used is seamless. Or am I just making that up? I could be making it up, but that was kind of like the implied feeling, is we want to seamlessly and honest not the right word, but capture the essence of the DS experience.
No, they did say that. They did something very similar among those lines. They want to seamlessly capture the
faithful recreation of the DS games.
Faithful is a good word. And I think this color palette is very, very close to what I recall seeing in the DS. So yeah, I can see the argument there for wanting to have more color pop. But when I look back at the Diamond and Pearl, which is my favorite out of all of them, and then compare it to like Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, or not just Ultra Sun, but also original Sun and Moon, the color styles are very different between those two. And even if we want to just isolate it to 3DS titles, Sun and Moon had a very different color palette from X and Y, right?
Which makes sense because like you're going from Hawaii, a very Hawaiian influence where people envision Hawaii as warm, beautiful, and like you go out to the beach and you just see all this like amazing colors, right? Like the water, the ocean is beautifully blue, the sky is blue, people are wearing bright colors, you're getting the idealized version of Hawaii, people putting lays on you and you're just enjoying fucking living life.
Yeah, no, and I get it. I totally get it.
X and Y, I've been to France multiple times, and France is beautiful in its own way, but it's also much more muted, and the personalities there, they're much more low key, except for when they're angry for some reason.
It's a European country.
You were gonna go there. Sorry.
Because if I feel the color palette of X and Y captured just a more European city vibe, whereas the palette for Sun and Moon also captured a tropical Hawaiian vibe for sure. I agree with that.
In line with that, like if you look at Sword and Shield, they have a very kind of dingy quality to them in certain places.
Well, Industrial Revolution.
Hold on, real quick. If we have any listeners and/or watchers from either London or France, we mean this with the best of like.
I have been to both countries in my lifetime, and
we love all of you guys.
London had a dinginess to it, not dirty. It's just like a dingy, foggy. It's nothing bad about the city itself. It's just how like visually I remember it.
I would say to me it reminds me very rustic. Kind of like a feel like that. So we love you guys. We don't mean this in any like bad way. Just put it out there.
Yeah, so I do. I personally wanted more color, but I see your argument. Like this is as faithful as we can be while modernizing it for a 2021 audience. Now, granted, there are features that are in Diamond and Pearl that cannot be natively input on the Switch, such as the voice commands, or not the voice commands, just the voice option in general. I've told the story numerous times. When Mario After Party was living in London and international calling is expensive, we would talk to each other through our DSs because we just log on, play some Pokemon, and we talk to each other while we played. Like, so are they going to integrate the Nintendo smartphone app to this?
I feel like Pokemon has taken a stance against talking at this point. I feel like they're against voice chat now because they didn't have it in Sun and Moon either. I don't think, right?
They haven't had it pretty much since. I think X and
Y has that's the one to have it, or us might have as well.
X and Y had like that record feature where you weren't directly talking to somebody unless
you could directly talk to them.
Unless
I think Black and White had a record.
Oh, yeah, one of them had that recorder that was pretty bad.
Chat to chat.
Well, hold on. Let's let's take a pause real quick and actually, because we got to do this good section, let's talk about the features that the original Diamond and Pearl had and compare it to what we'd like to see.
The best version of the GTS that ever existed.
It also had the Underground, which I completely loved.
I loved Underground. And as much as, like, I don't think you really need it for setting traps and exploring, but getting the fossils and the shards use the touchscreen. And
dude,
we need all the fossils.
I spent entire play sessions digging up fossils. For 3 hours. Like, when I played those games, this was like 3-hour sessions for me. There was one point where I forgot that I was less than halfway through the game because I'm like, fuck.
So the Underground was amazing. You could lose yourself in there. And if I remember correctly, you could build a clubhouse thing in the Underground, and that was super rad too. Yeah. It was a secret base thing.
Yeah, man, yeah, that brings are there going to be touchscreen functionality in handheld mode in this game? Because
that'd be nice.
How do you do those things when you're
cursor with a joystick?
Oh, that's gonna suck.
It's gonna suck, yeah. But I think that's the only real way they would translate it.
They all didn't. I think this one also had some sort of cooking. It was like a baking,
Puffin making. Yeah, puffins.
They were
in Gen
Pokemon
3. You had Pokeblocks. Oh yeah, Gen 4. They actually changed contests to be shitty and use the touchscreen. Yeah. Right. They just ruined contests. As the one guy who liked contests, they fucking ruined it in Gen 4.
So I have to say, the one thing that Diamond and Pearl did that I loved that they've never done again:
ball capsules.
Ball capsules.
Yes!
It pissed me off. I'm like, dude, this is the greatest thing.
It was so good. It made so much sense in X and Y when it would literally be in fucking 3D, and they just didn't fucking do it.
I was so angry. Like, and it's funny because when you actually talk to people who have played Diamond and Pearl, when you talk to them about the ball capsules, most people are like, dude, I would love to see that back.
Yeah.
It may not have been like the thing that made the PP turn into the big PP, but like everybody really likes that function.
Yeah, and it's the little things, right? It's little things.
So it was cool because then you could throw out like your Greninja or whatever weeb themed Pokemon, and it could have like cherry blossoms that would pop out. So for those of you who haven't played Diamond and Pearl, they had a function that allowed you to edit and the special effects that would happen when you threw your Pokemon out into battle. So one of the things they would do is you could actually have like a message pop out. And I knew a lot of people who abused it to use slurs. So don't do that, please. But
trust me,
everyone's already going to do it.
That's already censored out of the game.
Yeah,
not the ball capsules though. It's a lot harder to censor that, right?
I know, and I get that, but like, it was a great thing, at least to me. I loved it, and it's irritating that they've never bothered to do it since.
So I have a little something. I just want to throw something out there, just that I don't. I wonder. It might be a little under the radar, but which source code are they using? Are you using Diamond and Pearl source code, or are we going off of Platinum?
It's a good question.
Because I want the reverse world back.
Oh shit!
Platinum. I never actually played Platinum, so I didn't use the reverse code, but it seemed really cool. And I don't think they're going to use the Platinum source code. I think.
Well, here's the thing, right? When they redid Pokemon, when they did Pokemon Let's Go, it was
yellow.
It was this based off the source coding for yellow. So I imagine that they were happy with how Let's Go performed because it was huge for them. So why not use ideally the best version of the game to source this remake?
That's a good point. So could you explain Reverse World for the people who haven't done Platinum?
So we go ahead.
Oh no, I explain it for me in the back. I've never played Platinum. I don't know what the fuck this is.
But in the Reverse World, you have your two box Pokemon. You have Palkia and Dialga, right? Spoilers. When you beat the evil team, you send the main villain to the Reverse World, right? Which is kind of what he wants because he's a psycho crazy pants, right?
Cyrus is such a cool villain, even though he's really pointless.
Yeah, he's crazy. Cyrus is actually when Cyrus gets to the Reverse World, he supposedly encounters Giratina, which is the third legendary. So
right.
you go into the reverse world, and that's where you get your Skyform Giratina. I don't think it's called Skyform.
It's Skyform, I think.
Okay, yeah, okay. Well,
or Origin Form.
Origin Form,
wings,
yes,
right?
Yes, because Skyform is the weird.
The Shaman. Shaman,
yeah.
Yeah, you get the Presidia flower.
Bambi-looking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where you get encounter your Giratina, and there's not a whole lot of story stuff there, but the whole world itself is like an MC Escher painting gone like horribly right, and it's just it was a fun little thing that you could do in Platinum that you didn't have access to in Diamond and Pearl, and you got Giratina out of it, and the best looking form for Giratina.
That makes sense. So that's what Reverse World was for those of you guys who missed out on Platinum.
Like me, yeah.
Right. So, but was Diamond and Pearl and Platinum the one where you could actually plant the berries and hold them in your inventory?
That doesn't ring a bell to me.
Or is that Black and White?
I believe that's Black and White.
Okay.
The Black and White. Here's the thing, like Black and White, as much as I actually think that's probably one of the better games for Pokemon as far as story is concerned.
Oh, easily.
It's also very forgettable.
Yeah, specifically like the features for it. Like I forget that the Dream World was a thing in Black and White.
Yeah, because Black and White it came out at a weird time, right? The 3DS existed already at that point, and everybody just assumed that the games were going there. But you guys don't know Game Freak, because if you assume that Game Freak is putting something out on the newest console as soon as possible, you guys have got some crazy. And I want to smoke what you're smoking. Straight up, I want to smoke what you're smoking. Game Freak likes to hang out where they're comfortable and where the install base is large.
No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. But I think, also one of the big issues with Black and White, it was just coming on the heels of Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. And Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, they gave us so many extra features. Like in Platinum, not only do you have the Reverse World, but you also have the Underground still.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of features. You could lose yourself in the Underground, and you could lose yourself in the Reverse World. Like, there's a lot of shit.
And then Platinum also has the Battle Frontier.
And it also has Battle Frontier.
Yes. If you want to be a freaking masochist and try to get your way through that battle, dude, that is the worst Battle Frontier they've ever had. Dude,
they've only made two though.
The one in Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon.
Do they had one in Sun and Moon?
No,
they had the Battle Tree. Didn't
the Battle Tree. Okay,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. The Battle Tree is a joke.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
When they just give you one single facility, it's not the same thing. The Battle Frontier was a whole big thing.
Yeah, honestly, I wanted to do it, but I sucked too much ass, and I couldn't. I was too bad. Like, I could not progress through that game.
Yeah, I only beat two of those things, really.
Battle Frontier's rough, and I hope they keep it with that kind of difficulty level. I think it'd be brilliant.
Oh, how do you think they're going to do the smartwatch? You had the Poke-etch in that game. That's how they used the touchscreen. Smartwatch.
I don't know.
I forgot about that.
I'm so very skeptical about how they integrate those things when in docked mode that I don't like to think about like how some of those touchscreen functionalities can be ruined.
Well, the biggest thing with the Poke-etch is that it's mostly just a second screen thing.
Right.
Because you don't even really use the touchscreen for a whole lot of it. Maybe like the Dowsing Machine app used the touchscreen, and one where you like just moved your Pokemon around used the touchscreen. For the most part, it was just tap to reset things and switch functions.
Right. And
it's mostly just a second screen thing, right?
I think for some things like that, if they really needed touchscreen functionality, they could maybe get away with doing some sort of phone app kind of thing.
Well, we've been using smartphones in Pokemon. It's like Pokemon Masters and obviously Sword and Shield have been using phones, and I wouldn't be against having like smartphone features available in the game. It would be more of an integration of like how technology has progressed. Typically, Pokemon remake games don't exist in the same time space as the original games do, because obviously you look at Let's Go and Blue and Red exist, right?
Right.
Well, Let's Go isn't a remake. It's a remake of Yellow, but it's also like a year or whatever after the events of Red and Blue.
It's a weird like 1.5 sequel.
Mm-hmm.
It's strange. So I totally get that, and I think that is a good point to bring up as to how exactly is this game gonna turn out. I mean, I'm assuming it's gonna be like a straight remaster remake because it has the name and then the qualifier, the adjective. So Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl is akin to
Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire.
Thank you, Omega and Ruby.
I feel so when I look at you
do realize that like the abbreviation is BDSP. We're like one consonant away from being something very bad.
You can just don't say that.
I am very disappointed. I just wanted Gardevoir to step on me. What's so wrong with that?
No, you can be quiet. But you made a good point with the remakes being set in alternate dimensions
you're right.
and timelines.
It's not Gardevoir, it's Lopunny.
You need to be quiet. No, not Lopunny. So in Oras takes place in a different dimension where they can actually. It takes place in the Mega Evolution timeline.
Yes,
which is different from the original Ruby and Sapphire Emerald games. So and that ends up changing a lot. Oras were not really true remakes because they added just a lot of new shit because they were in the Mega timeline. I think
you can catch every legendary Pokemon in one specific region.
Yeah. I think that this ends up being much more similar to the original Diamond Pearl Clouds. I feel like they're being very, very, very faithful to this, just off of what we've seen so far.
Right.
To not quite Heart Gold, even safer than Heart Gold Soul Silver, I want to say, which were already pretty faithful. I think it's going to be even more so. Which, speaking of Heart Gold Soul Silver, as well as Let's Go, fuck, there's no fucking follow Pokemon in this. It's that. I'm honestly on the fence about getting this game just because they didn't add follow Pokemon to the remake.
You know what, though? Yeah. I think I as much as we all love follow Pokemon and as much as we all demand it, some of those walking animations in Let's Go were disturbing.
I loved it. It was amazing.
Better
Venusaur. Venusaur is not a damn frog in my mind.
I didn't mind Venusaur. I got used to Venusaur. But there were some other ones.
Like watching Venusaur hop around like a frog was devastating.
Yeah, that was great. I loved it. I laughed. But I'd be willing to give follow-up if it meant we got the ball capsules back.
I mean, so here's the big thing, right? This looks like a 3DS game, all things considered. Which, it's based off a DS game, that's fair. But it's not doing anything crazy new, revolutionary. I think it's going to be very, 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 very similar to the original Diamond Pearl Platinum games. And there's no follow Pokemon. Yet they want to charge presumably $60 for it, right? The original games are $35. I don't know if I can warrant that if there's not any follow Pokemon.
I'm paying for this. I've been craving to go back to the Sinnoh region for a long time on a platform that is actually accessible to the new functions and the transfer functions, right? Obviously, we're going to be able to transfer our Pokemon from this game to home and not ideally transfer them to Pokemon Sword and Shield or whatever future Pokemon core game comes out. That's why the remakes exist, really, right? It's basically a way for, people who didn't play the game to get their hands on all the Pokemon from that region so that they can carry them over in a way that is easily accessible and you don't have to buy this extinct hardware for and pray that the batteries in cartridges aren't dead or that there isn't, like, bad corruption on those old 3DS or DS cartridges. This is... you pray for this. You don't have to go through any of that, right?
Yeah.
And now some of these retro consoles, they don't go down in price, especially the good ones like the DS. They're not going down in price. And those old Pokemon games are retailing for $60 now anyway. Have you seen what GameStop charges for Diamond and Pearl? It's $60. Are you going to pay $60 to play it on the damn 3D or on the old school fat DS, or are you gonna pay $60 to play it on a sleek, sexy Switch? I'm paying $60 on a Switch.
Good point. You do kind of a point.
I mean, I get the argument there, and I think it's a reasonable argument. But honestly, having played Diamond and Pearl and having such fond memories, and if they do it right and they just basically include everything somehow or another in the remakes, I think it's worth the money, in my opinion. I mean, come on, Game Freak, all I want to do is decorate my balls. Let me decorate my balls.
Yeah, if they return ball capsules and I can play with one Joy-Con, I might consider getting it. One Joy-Con,
yes,
we'll sell.
There we go
for sure.
Now we are at something I've been wanting to talk about. Surprised that they didn't announce it having Let's Go style features.
Yeah, that was a bit interesting.
Because I figured, not that I'm mad that you may have to play this game traditionally. I just think that Let's Go was so accessible, right?
Right.
As far as the way you played, I'm surprised that they didn't venture back into that. Now, obviously, granted, Let's Go was taking a lot of cues from just Pokemon Go in general, which made a lot of people mad. But I don't think. Obviously, they didn't piss them off that much. The game sold 6 million copies, right?
Good, yeah.
I think co-op mode would have made a bit of sense here too.
Right. Well, I mean, one of the things I am a bit surprised about is I'm a little bit surprised that this isn't Let's Go Pearl and Let's Go Diamond. That's one of the things that I half expected them to do, and I honestly would have been okay with as long as they gave us all the stuff from Diamond and Pearl.
In the original show notes for this episode, I speculated, I had like our speculations, and on my speculations, I said sequel to Diamond and Pearl set in Gen 4. I was fully expecting it to be a Let's Go style game. I'm not disappointed in what they showed, clearly, because I'm very excited. At the end of the day, I'm more shocked that they don't have Let's Go features than any kind of disappointment.
Yeah,
for sure.
I am surprised at that, and that is one thing that I'm surprised was missing overall. In any case, though, that's a different topic.
All right, but I think we should kind of put this one to rest because we still have one more the last major release from this specific direct, and this one confused the shit out of me.
Yeah,
right?
The Pokemon Teeth update looked crazy.
Yeah, right. So I'm looking at it, right? They show Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl, and then it fades to black, and then it fades back in from black. So I'm thinking we're still seeing the same game. I was like, holy shit, they added a fucking wild area to Sinnoh.
Yeah,
that's where my brain went.
Too.
My brain said they added a wild area to Sinnoh, but I was like, why is the music so good? And why is the graphics so different? Right? Is this them saying, fuck you, we can make a good wild area? That's what I thought. I was like, fuck you, we know how to make graphics.
Before that, though, what I was really surprised at was one of the first things they zoomed up in was an old leather-bound book.
With those weird-ass steampunk Pokeballs.
Right.
Yeah,
and so what
made from OG Apricorns.
Right. What I actually expected was another Sengoku Pokemon title. No, wait, what the hell was it called?
Nobunaga's Revenge, Pokemon Conquest.
Pokemon Conquest. I thought they were going to give us Pokemon Conquest.
They will never do that again, which is the biggest shame of all time. In human history, as far as video game development is concerned, the fact that there will never be a sequel to that game is the biggest drop fucking ball.
Yeah, no, I agree. So first of all, that is one of the things that kind of made me super salty with the original 5-minute intro, was watching it and being like, fuck, why don't we have these things in the States? All those cool things that Japan got in the arcades and just everything. So anyway, that's a side tangent. That just kind of got me super irritated. But, when it comes to what we saw with the Arceus, I really thought they were going there. And I got kind of excited first. I was disappointed when I found that it wasn't.
Am I the only person who's pissed that they kept saying Arceus in the damn presentation instead of Arceus?
Well, I think the translator in the presentation said Arceus, and then in the trailer it said Arceus. Yeah. Which, to be fair, even people at Pokemon Company just don't know how to pronounce Pokemon names.
But they have a Pokemon in Sun and Moon that references the fact that it's RKS. Fuck it.
Oh, they do, don't they?
Yeah, RKS system on Savali.
Yeah. That's good. I forgot all about that. Yeah, no,
it's fun. Yeah, it's good.
Anyway,
right.
So what this game is, action RPG set in the Pokemon universe in the Sinnoh region at a time before the Sinnoh region has become all hyper-civilized and, modernized, right? Mm-hmm. Am I the only person that got Pokemon Forever vibes off of the because they have the notebook Yeah, it has the notebook the leather-bound notebook that functioned as a Pokedex that Professor Oak was drawing in when he was a kid in the past, and it had those old school Pokeballs. And if you remember that movie, he had that weird Pokeball that he had to crank before he could throw. I kept thinking about that as this trailer was happening, but then they start showing gameplay and it just went out the window. I'm like, holy shit, are they trying to do Xenoblade?
So, actually, what the vibe that I got from it, and this is kind of an interesting thing, I think, from a broad perspective, is it felt more like Monster Hunter Rise meets Pokemon, to me at least, which I think is really cool. But, another thing is, I find it really interesting that we have both of those games coming out, and they're both kind of embodying the, old school Japan ninja feel kind of thing. Like, if you look at the character designs for Legends, they've got the stereotypical hero scarf, which is one of my favorite Japanese tropes of all time. Like,
I'm so glad it's not their tongue. It would be really creepy if it was their fucking tongue, dude.
Dude, that would be a different game.
How's Greninja not one of the starters when the character designs are like that?
I guess Oshawott turns into Samurott, and Samurot's cooler than ninjas, but also Oshawot's such a weird pick for this at the same time.
Yeah.
I hate Oshawott.
But it's also Sinnoh region, so I think it makes sense. Right?
I guess. But R.I.P. Turtwig.
Whatever.
Wait, what Sinnoh region was the...
Piplup, Turtwig, and Chimchar.
Right.
I can deal without Chimchar, but...
No, what was the real world equivalent of Sinnoh? That was Japan, right?
Yeah, it wasn't until Gen 5 they moved out of Japan.
Right.
Yeah, the first time they went to New York for Gen 5. I kept looking. I was like, this is kind of giving me like those Xenoblade vibes. And then they're like, it's an action RPG. I do like the battle mechanics still somewhat being traditional turn-based. I like the overworld that you just sneak up on the Pokemon, toss the ball. You don't have to physically engage it if you don't want to. You just let me see if this works.
But I have to say that's one of the weird things from the trailer is they showed us these various different play mechanics. On the one hand, we did see something that kind of looks as if it's the traditional turn-based, but in other cutscenes, we do see instances where it looks kind of like your main character is one place, and it's in like you have your Pokemon out here, and it looks more like a 3D almost fighting action game, kind of like Pokken. But then they also had like roll mechanics. But there's like 3 different distinct kind of game mechanic styles, and I'm very curious to see how they're going to synthesize them into one coherent game.
I almost feel like you can play it turn-based, but the game will... So it's where you pick the move, and then there's free actions, I guess, that happen in between, right? And then... Because I think Final Fantasy has one of their games has a system like that where it's sort of pseudo turn-based. It's action RPG, but you get it pauses the action for a minute. And you can pick a move. I'm not sure which one that is.
Well, 15 did something like that, and that's one of the reasons why I thought 15 was absolutely terrible. So I'm hoping that if they do this for Legends, they are able to improve upon the system. I don't know. I did think that maybe that is one of the ways that they're looking at doing it. Maybe they're doing it like a Let's Go thing, where only trainer battles are going to be the turn-based sort of deal. I have no idea. I think it'd be interesting.
See trainers out there at all, which
I know, which is really weird.
And that's just something I want to talk about in general. This whole thing looks so empty.
That's exactly my point.
Open world, and there's no items, there's no trainers, and we were told that our main quest is to complete the Pokedex, not defeat the evil team, not to clear gym battles. It's, I guess, sort of implied that there's no other towns beside our starting town. And
they pretty much they basically confirmed.
What do you do?
I think the release date for this game being 2022 gives me some hope that this gets fleshed out more, because you're right, this is emptier than Breath of the Wild, and not that Breath of the Wild is completely void of any activity. It's just there are long stretches where nothing happens in Breath of the Wild, and you are just left to your own devices to explore and maybe find an enemy to engage.
Right.
I do think that they're showing us a very early slice of what this game is, and they have plenty of time to work on it. This is a 2022 game, but not only that, but this is definitely a holiday 2022 game. Right?
It says early 2022.
It says early.
Bullshit. Yeah, bullshit. This gets delayed.
Yeah, I think it'll be delayed. I don't think it'll. I think at best it might be a summer 22 earliest. I don't know, but I mean, but it could possibly be early 22 depending on the engine, because it looks like they're running off a similar engine from like Breath of the Wild, honestly, from the cell shading and just the way the grass looked. Also gave me some again big Monster Hunter Rise vibes. I actually was surprised that Bandai Namco wasn't developing it, but
I think if Monolith got some of their guys to go over to Game Freak.
That's the go-to studio for any Nintendo studio to call upon for help us make big world.
Yeah, no, easily. Yeah,
I think they definitely stole some of the Monolith team.
Yeah, but
this is definitely the best a Pokemon game has looked with open spaces. I mean, trees. If I'm gonna be real nitpicky, the trees still look like shit.
They don't look good from N64 at least, though.
No, yeah, but the game itself,
maybe early Xbox 360 now for those.
And there's a couple of things that I noticed where some of the Pokemon in this trailer, they're this is very early. They're showing us something they probably shouldn't have showed us yet, because in this, when you do reveal trailers, you're supposed to show the best vertical slice you have. There are Pokemon moving like this.
Yeah,
they're stuttering. They're
it looked bad.
There's a lot of lag, so I know they're showing us something before they really want to. But for the anniversary, they're okay, we'll pull the curtain back. We'll show you something that maybe you're not supposed to see just yet. But 25th, maybe if this was a game that was supposed to be coming out this year, we wouldn't see it for much later, right?
Right,
but
I agree.
Because it's coming out next year, and this is the 25th anniversary, and they have to go hard. Because of course we're gonna talk about some shit that was already announced that isn't out yet. They had to pull something out. Give them a reveal. We're not done yet, but we can show them a little something and just pray that they don't pick us apart for it. But that's what we're here for, to literally pick them apart for it. And I'm surprised that this is a fully developed Game Freak game.
Yeah, that was really interesting to me too. Because part of it is because this doesn't look and or feel like a Game Freak game. It's a very big derivation, which I like. I like to see that Game Freak is deciding to go a little bit out of their comfort zone, because honestly, that's been one of my biggest criticisms of Game Freak, is that they've been playing it a little bit too safe.
Well, but they tried, right? Card Pocket Jockey and Little
Giga Wrecker, Little Town Hero.
Yeah,
and then the Elephant thing.
They tried, but people don't want to play those games. They want Pokemon out of Game Freak, which is a little kind of sad, because no other Nintendo studio is this tied to a specific franchise, right? Other than Animal Crossing team.
Right, and I think part of the default for Town Hero and Giga Wrecker not being recognized is just bad marketing. I don't know many people have really heard of them. So,
Card Pocket Jockey, fantastic, but then you get to Little Town Hero, and it ended up not being good despite having a really good art style, right?
Yeah, they just tried to do too much, and it just didn't work well together.
That's fair. That makes sense. And so, I guess maybe they can. I'm hoping that they've used those kinds of growth experiences to kind of inform this. I think there's a lot of potential for this game. They're really interesting.
I'm glad they're leaving that safe space of turn-based RPGs and entering into something more
an action RPG.
Yeah, more
the first one they've made, and I'm so here for it.
Yeah,
I'm so here for it.
Right, and
it gives them space, right? This is what we were talking about the other day, right? When we were talking about whether Splatoon should be a live service, and I was saying that live services don't allow for game studios to experiment, right? This is true. Exactly what this is, right? We're getting to see experimentation as a spin-off, not as sort of a direct sequel, because obviously clearly this isn't tied to a core series game, but it is a chance for them to spin off and do something unique that a live service game wouldn't allow them to do, right? Because now if you look at Sword and Shield with expansion passes have somewhat become a live service game. You couldn't do this in Sword and Shield because it doesn't aesthetically fit the game. But as its own thing, yeah, this shit fucking works. Now I wonder which development team within Game Freak is handling this, because is this an A team game or is this a B team game? Because B team gave us Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
They also gave us the expansions for Sword and Shield. I almost want to say it's B team because Junichi Masuda is like one of the big guys at A team, and he's over at ILCA, right?
Ilka. Working on Sapphire or Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah.
Like I almost feel like he just let the new guys have all these cool ideas, and they worked on some open world stuff for Sword and Shield, and they're just sort of making their own shit.
Right. But I think I'm really hoping that they're able to take some of that new energy, that fresh energy, and just capitalize on it. Like, for sure. I think this with the setting and everything, I think there's a lot of potential for some real interesting, mature themes to be explored again in Pokemon, and that's one of the reasons why I liked the older.
Game already gave me a darker vibe, right? Just the music,
right?
The music gave me like this. I get it because it's set in somewhat of a feudal era, right? Right. So the music gives off the vibe like there is danger imminent, right? So you're right; it can definitely go darker.
Right, and I think there's definitely some room for that kind of interplay between the feudal system, between rival towns. I mean, they told us that this is like one of the main towns, but I'm not convinced that this is just going to be the only town. And I'm not convinced this is just about filling out the Pokédex, because, in a lot of the earlier titles, your original goal was like, hey, kid, go out and fill my Pokédex from me. What? Here's Team Rocket? Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised if they throw that kind of twist in there as well.
So that was something I wanted to touch on. So in lieu of the fact that we don't have gyms or an evil team or any other objective besides catching Pokemon, this allows them to actually just make a heavily story-driven Pokemon game.
Yeah, I agree.
Because so far we've sort of seen what feels like exploration, like Breath of the Wild wasn't really a story game, it was an exploration game. And you look at this and you think, oh, exploration, cool, I love exploration. But I would love if they just made this story driven. Because even if the world is just barren, making it story driven would go a long way to just giving me more stuff. And then also fleshing out Sinnoh. I feel like Sinnoh wasn't one of the most fleshed out regions.
Agreed.
Arceus was an event Pokemon, for fuck's sake. Like God Pokemon was just a side event.
Well, they really utilized the anime very specifically that generation, right? The anime gave us all the backstory of the
Yeah.
I believe, like, for me, that was one of the best seasons of the anime because the anime fills in so many blanks, especially
it was completely different.
Especially the movies from that era, right? Those are some of the better movies in the Pokemon like animated theatrical.
The Dark Ride movie was kind of weird.
The Dark Ride movie is legitimately bad, but the others in that region not too bad.
Okay.
I think
I'll agree with that
generation.
Right. That's fair.
But yeah, there's not a whole lot that we know yet about this game. I am excited because I'm excited just to experience Pokemon in a new style. I think I think I've always liked side games that flesh out the work, right?
Yeah.
I've always envisioned that Snap just gives us a slice of what life is like in different regions. Detective Pikachu did the same thing with Rhyme City. So that's the reason we're battling is not something that happens.
Right. And it also gives you a picture into what people do if they don't want to be a trainer.
Exactly.
And I love that.
And then this game is showing us how the society basically formed, right? We're going back to how like civilization and the first recorded Pokédex may have happened at least in the Sinnoh region. So I think all this is cool. That's all exciting to me. I do hope that they really flesh this game out. Again, I'm glad they showed us this early, but I don't think it was in their best interest because they didn't have enough to show us.
I'm definitely still skeptical just because it does look so empty, barren, and pointless. But if nothing else, I'm very excited for what this means for the future. Because as well as I might not be that hyped for Diamond Pearl Platinum remakes, just the fact that they're very true to form, but also we see Legends of Arceus really, being adventurous and doing something new, cool, and looks really good. Gen 9, I think, will be good. I think Gen 9.
Well, here's the thing, right?
For Gen 9, if nothing else.
This game does well, can we could expect a whole lot of like games in this style, right? Like
imagine Pokemon Legends Kanto, Pokemon Legends,
like Mysteries of Mew,
like
for the a Kanto region or
Celebi, in a time travel story.
Exactly. All this stuff could be really cool. But yeah, I did enjoy of the three things that were presented in this presentation. What was the most hyped thing for you guys? For me, I'm gonna go with Arceus because of what it means for the series.
Yeah, Arceus.
I said Arceus.
I'm gonna go with Diamond and Pearl just because they're my favorite titles. And so, for me, I can't not choose that one.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on because there are Pokemon games that we've known about that were just not part of the presentation. Pokemon Unite, we know that Canada is getting the beta version. They're gonna beta test it. I'm really surprised that this wasn't announced. I even checked Canadian like YouTube profile to see if they got an update that we just didn't get because we're not part of that open beta. No Pokemon Unite anywhere. Not that I particularly have any interest in Pokemon Unite because I really don't. I mean, Pokemon MOBA, it sounds cooler than it actually probably will be. I'm just surprised that they just didn't announce it. Why is it MIA?
I was really expecting them to push this really hard for this. I was so convinced they were going to push it really hard because specifically this is meant to appeal to the Chinese market, right? And that's something that Pokemon Company is really aggressively trying to infiltrate that Chinese market. And so it just made sense to me. To
the point where it's being developed by a Chinese studio.
So I was surprised to see that missing for sure.
And then Pokemon Sleep. Is it? I think we can change the name to fucking Pokemon Comatose. Because that shit was to sleep so long that it fell into a coma. We don't know anything about this game. I think it's off the table.
I feel like it was such a weird concept and experimental. It's one of those things that really just got shelved because it's just not working.
I just don't think. I think what happened is that it didn't land, right? Like they thought it would land in the way that Pokemon Go did, and it just didn't. So they're like, how can we quietly sweep this under the rug and pretend that it doesn't exist? That's what they're trying to do, except that we all fucking remember it.
Yeah. And the craziest thing for me is that there was a peripheral for this.
Yeah,
by Nintendo. The peripheral then? Like, what?
And you know how I get with like peripherals and controllers and things like I have to buy. I have 3 Pokeball Pluses. I have 3 Pokeball Pluses. 3.
You can get more. They're printing more. They reissued them.
Nice.
And I have 3 of the Go Plus. So yeah, I buy those accessories.
Plus for the sleep one, right? That was the dumb name they gave.
Yes, fuck, I forgot about that. Yes, the Pokemon Plus. Yeah, that's why they swept that shit under the rug. They could have we named it so bad, we just gone off the table. Also missing was Detective Pikachu. What the fuck, right? So you had this you had a big blockbuster movie that one of the best video game movies of all time, which doesn't say a lot because video game movies are notoriously bad, but you had a hit on your hands and you didn't capitalize on it at all. Just gone. Nowhere to be found. The game ends on a cliffhanger. The Switch is the perfect platform to port the game over to at least the first one. At least remake the first one for the Switch. You didn't do that.
The fact that they didn't even do that makes me feel like they are making a sequel because they would have released a port of the 3DS version by now. If that was what they were originally intending.
At least a trailer would have been. We're still working. Just say something. We're still working. I loved Detective Pikachu. I know it's baby's first Professor Layton game, but it was fun.
Hey, those Layton games are stupid hard. Like some of those puzzles. So I appreciated not having to get frustrated the way I would Layton. Side note, I was the guy in Layton who would be like, fuck, okay, let me dig out my trigonometry book or my pre-calculus, figure out this thing, and then they'd show me how they got it, and I'm like, what the hell? I just spent 2 hours on this puzzle trying to like remember how to do advanced calculus for this garbage, only to have like, oh, yeah, you just move these things around. So that is a small rant on Layton and how frustrated I get at that game. So I appreciated these like the way Detective Pikachu was like, okay, this is okay. I really appreciated that, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, the game is still, I think you still have enough goodwill from the movie itself that you could release this game.
Yeah.
And you're clearly not going to be able to capitalize on the hype of the movie anymore, but I think the movie is still well received enough that the audience that wasn't there when the game came out originally could be on board for the sequel. And if you do like a 2-in-1, you win. While we're on the topic of Detective Pikachu, I was wholeheartedly expecting the announcement of the sequel for Detective Pikachu 2. They did say that this is a thing that they're working on. Legendary Studios is working on this. Yes, I know the studio that did design the Pokemon for the movie did go bankrupt because Sonic bankrupted them.
Sonic.
But but let's be real. They bought the assets. They got the guy who actually designed the Pokemon on retainer. Where's this movie? Where's Ryan Reynolds' silky voice to give us more Pikachu? Come on, and like with the way that the movie ended, you could go unique. You could do a whole unique thing, right? Because Pikachu is no longer Tim's dad anymore. So now it could just be Tim and regular Pikachu on an adventure, or Tim, Ryan Reynolds, and regular Pikachu solving mysteries together. Either way, where's the sequel to this movie? You don't have to give me a trailer. I'm not asking for a trailer. Just say, hey, still a thing that's happening.
So, and just like, I expect more collabs, right? That's a big thing that Pokemon Company's been doing just recently, is just collabs. Katy Perry, Post Malone. We've talked about a couple artist collabs they've done, clothing brand things. Collabs are just missing because that's the thing they do now. It's just collabs.
Well, the crossover with Levi's is so understated in comparison to like how big of a deal Nintendo made over the Mario. Like they pimped the Mario announcement. And then I checked Twitter randomly and I was like, what the hell is that jacket? And I was like, oh shit, it's a Levi's collaboration, but it's like, it's so under the radar. It's like, I didn't even know that it was coming out. It's already out. It's out now. And that's how poor of a job they've done of like really
marketing
this for this. I mean, all the things that were MIA for the presentation, like not all of them are like uniquely something I could give two shits about Pokemon Unite. I really could. Yeah. However, Pokemon Sleep, I just want to know the status of that. If it's dead, tell me it's dead, because I want to know if I can actually sleep peacefully knowing that I won't have an accessory.
I'm still waiting for Nintendo to put How to Train Your Dragon, Tangled, and Legend of the Guardians Owls of Ga'ul on 3DS. They announced that each could be like 2011 or some shit, and I'm still waiting.
Yeah, Detective Pikachu is the thing that kind of hurts me the most. I really want a sequel to this game. Yeah, you told me it was coming 2 years ago. It's been 2 years, and no announcements since that point. That wraps up our presentation portion of this discussion. With that said, I'm Niceone. You can hit me up on Twitter, Niceone983. You can email me at niceone93@gmail.com. And you hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/NintendoPowerZone. If you like this podcast, you can always download episodes on iTunes, stream on Stitcher and Spotify, and right here on YouTube. This is where you can catch us. Guys, hit them up.
Yeah, I am, as always, at VKingBlues. Blues is always BLOOZ on Twitter. You can tweet me if you want to talk Pokemon. I love Pokemon, but I also want to talk like Yokai Watch or Bakugan. I can teach you about those too. They're pretty good,
Especially that Bakugan. That's the best one. But not as good as Digimon. Just throwing it out there. No, I'm kidding. It's all about Beyblades and arcades on motorcycles. That's
Beyblades is really fucking intense.
Yeah. In any case, this is Jaden Winsong. You can hit me up on Twitch, Twitter, Reddit. I mean, basically.
4chan.
I've been clean of 4chan for 10 years. 10 years. I've been clean.
Happy anniversary.
Good. And I'll be honest, it's tempted to go back and romp around the old 4chan forums, but you know,
no,
thank you. But actually, I've been spending a lot of time on Minds lately. It was one of the new alternative platforms coming up, and it feels like a really interesting community. I can actually post things without worrying about the Twitter hate mob. So that's probably where I'm most active these days. So if you use Minds, then that's me, Jaden Winsong on Minds. I even have a check mark. It's pretty damn cool. All I had to do was say, "Can I please have check mark?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." It's pretty cool. But yeah.
All right, and guys, last but not least, if you like the song that you're hearing at the end of this episode, that's done by former co-host of this show, Mara After Party, also known as Chris Shaver. You can download this song on iTunes, Bandcamp. It's available to listen to stream on YouTube and Spotify. Wherever you get your music, you can get our theme song, The Power Zone. I want to thank everybody so much for watching, and have a happy Pokemon Day. Deuces.